Welcome to the Mike Frederick Show, presented by Aria Health, as we get set for Neshamony's first game against Gonzaga College High School, August 29th at 7 p.m. You can listen to that game online with the pregame show starting at 6:45 on WBCB1490.com. Coach Frederick, how's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. And one thing I want to talk to you about as we look forward to this Gonzaga game is how the guys have looked in camp leading into this first game.
Yeah, we've had a lot of open competition. Guys have really stepped up, and we're thrilled with some of the progress we've made. We need to take care of some of the cleanup stuff, which the easy penalties, things like that, but which come with an early camp. The last couple of days have been our hottest so far, so we've seen some dehydration symptoms. We've tried to get on top of that and try to make sure the kids stay hydrated and take care of their bodies because we had a really cool camp as far as weather goes.
Yeah, weather-wise for the last few weeks, it's been in the 70s and the 80s, but these last few days in the 90s, what are some things that you guys do as a coaching staff to make sure your players are ready to play if you have that game in the hot weather?
Well, we're counting on having a game in the hot weather, and we talked about making sure that we push through, and we created a fast tempo through camp, trying to simulate getting in shape. But nothing does it quite like the real thing. And when we were out there the past couple of days, you could tell the heat affected our guys. We have some guys going both ways. We just need to be really smart about how we're substituting, and also just re-emphasizing to them that they have to start hydrating, and they get a lot of their hydration through food, so they can't stop eating. We're really trying to make sure they keep their weight up, as well as just being aware of how they feel and drinking every time they can.
So as we look ahead to that Gonzaga College game, do you think your guys are ready as far as being in game shape?
Yeah, I hope so. We're not as deep, maybe across the ball at multiple positions as we have been historically. So, but we need to take care of that. I mean, turnovers, a lot of 3-and-outs on defense, and we can control how much we're on the field, how well we're rested. But we've done everything in our power. We've got a great strength and conditioning program, which historically has been one of the strengths of Neshamony football, and we feel good about it. We'll be ready to go. Yeah,
definitely that strength and conditioning is something a lot of the kids have talked about when I've interviewed them, and they feel very prepared as far as the conditioning is concerned. So looking into the Gonzaga game, obviously they're a top-ranked team, one of the top schools in the country in football. Are there any things specifically that you're looking for out of the team getting set for a big game against a good team?
Well, we've talked to them a lot about wanting to play games that have meaning, wanting to play teams that are good teams. So you want to challenge yourself. You want to be in these games. And I think they are fully aware of sort of the preseason hype that comes with a team like Gonzaga. And I think they're excited about the opportunity to go out there and just see how they compete, see how they stack up. Other than that, I mean, historically, we want to make sure they're calm and loose. There's no need to play tight. There's no need to play scared. And if anything, we're gonna play aggressive. We're gonna cut it loose, and we're gonna have some fun.
As far as Gonzaga specifically, is there anything that they do really well that you're kind of looking at as a key concern?
Well, they do a number of things well. There's nothing magical about what they do, but they line up and they have 4 or 5 key running plays, and they run well. They run ISO at you, they run power lead at you, they run a stretch play. The quarterback's a Division I kid, as is the quarterback, one of the receivers, one of the tackles. I think the quarterback throws a fade and they do that really well. And I think that'll be something that they tend to go to at times when they're backed up or they need a play. And we're aware of that. Defensively, they run a 3-5 system. And again, they're technically sound. They've got good talent. They've got talent at the corners. So we're going to have to be really methodical. Take that right technique and play strong.
Yeah, I think the technique is probably something that's going to be really on point in that game. You have to make sure that everybody's technique is right there where it needs to be, and then everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, and it's something you hope comes together. But then this is the first week where we will really game plan for a team. We do a little bit of scrimmages, but it might be half a practice or something like that. We game plan for them the whole week. We know what they run. We know they're good at it, and we can't have any mental errors. Physically, we need to have our legs under us, but then we also we just need to be sharp. We need to win battle after battle. We need to take care of our responsibility and know that the guy next to us will take care of his. And ultimately, we're looking to, we're really emphasizing winning the turnover battle.
Now, I know you said that a lot of your players don't have necessarily that starting varsity experience. How have those players in particular been with preparing for their first real varsity experience game?
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, I got to tell you, nobody's been too tense. I think the coaches haven't been through a lot of big games here in the history, even though some of the guys haven't played, have been around, state quarterfinal games, semifinal games. They know what big games are all about. And the last thing we want to do is in any way make it more than what it is, which is just an opening game. It's a nice challenge, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I think the guys right now seem loose. Obviously it's been hot the last couple of days, so they've had to deal with some mental and physical fatigue, and that's good. That'll serve them well come Friday night.
All right, we'll step aside, take a quick break, and be right back with Coach Mike Frederick on the Mike Frederick Show, presented by Aria Health.
If you are looking for a car, where do you go? Faulkner Auto Group at 4427 Street Road in Trevose is where to go for the best deals in Bucks County for all your new pre-owned cars, trucks, or SUVs. Go to Faulkner Auto Group. It's always Faulkner, to be sure. Go online to faulknerautogroup.com. Just remember, it's Faulkner, to be sure, for all your new cars or trucks. 4427 Street Road in Trevose. Faulkner, to be sure.
The ARIA 3B Orthopedic Institute is redefining care in Center City and South Jersey. And our 50,000 square foot location on ARIA Health's Bucks campus in Langhorne features private rooms, free parking, and nearby hotels. With over a century of experience, the world-class 3Bs, Doctors Booth, Bartolozzi, Balderston, and their partners personally guide you from treatment through recovery. For all your orthopedic needs, call 1-888-ORTHO-3B or visit aria3bortho.org. At the ARIA 3B Orthopedic Institute, you come first.
Welcome back to the Mike Frederick Show, presented by 1490 WBCB and presented by Aria Health. Coach, we're going to have some fun here and talk a little bit about some stuff that maybe doesn't have to do with the upcoming game, particularly the Philadelphia Eagles. You have some experience. You played in the NFL for 5 teams and 5 different coaches, rather, 3 teams, 5 coaches. So you've seen it all. And I believe you played for Andy Reid, is that correct?
Yeah, it was 5 teams in 5 years. I didn't actually play in a real season game for the Eagles or the Jets. The other 3 teams I did.
Okay.
So yeah, I had experience on 5 football teams, and I've taken little bits and pieces from each of those experiences and helped craft who I hope to become as a head coach.
Okay, well, one head coach who's doing some pretty interesting things in Philadelphia is the guy who took over for Andy Reid. That's Chip Kelly. He obviously came in with a lot of his own new ideas about how the game should be played. What do you think about Chip Kelly as a coach?
He's certainly a guy I would love to have played for. We talk around here about tempo, the pace of the game, spreading out the game both vertically and horizontally. It's stuff that he's doing. He's getting into good matchups, the best matchup, and then trying to take advantage of that. We're not at a stage here where I think we can implement some of that stuff. I mean, I'd certainly love to get 80, 85 snaps in a game on offense. We're not going to be able to do that. We're going to be a little bit more methodical at this point, especially with guys on both sides of the ball. But what he's doing is sound. It's every play is right in theory should be strategically sound, both offensively and defensively. There's an answer for what the offense is bringing you. What you try to do is get your kids in a good position to best take advantage of it. And then the chess match comes when a guy like Chip Kelly can maneuver his pieces in a way that puts you at a disadvantage, and you're not either quick enough or you're not able, skill-wise, to match up with those types of matchups. So we're aware of the change, that it's come to that it's really become a giant chess match on a grass field.
Now, a lot of people in Philadelphia are maybe a little bit worried that the NFL will start to adjust to the Chip Kelly system. Is that something that you see possibly happening?
Well, having played under Bill Belichick, a lot of people thought they would adjust to a Bill Belichick-based system, but he has 5 Super Bowl rings over the past 20 years or so with both the Giants and New England. Good coaches are good coaches, right? Good players are good players. Good players are on average going to outperform good coaches. So you really need good players at the end of the day. If Chip Kelly didn't have the kind of players he has and didn't know exactly what he was looking for, it wouldn't matter what Chip Kelly's system is. He would just get overmatched as far as those matchups, one-on-one, the 3-on-2s, those things would not be as strongly in his favor as they are now. I think a great sign was that 4 or 5 of the guys they released got picked up by other teams. You're starting to see depth. And if that's the case, not only is their top 53 looking good, if their top 80 is looking good and they got 60, 65 guys that can play in the NFL, they're going to be real successful.
That was something that Merrill Reese was talking about on WBCB the other day, was that depth that the Eagles have, particularly at the quarterback position, and how a lot of teams are calling about Mark Sanchez. He's performed well in the preseason. Do you, if you're the coach of the Eagles, do you maybe try to move him, or if you're the general manager rather, try to move Mark Sanchez, or would you rather keep that depth on the team?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, especially when you're talking to a guy where we're dealing with depth issues every day. You want the best guys on your team as possible. If he can provide depth and he's an exceptionally talented guy, you don't want to get rid of him. The only way you would even entertain something like that is if it somehow makes your overall team better, meaning you trade him for a different piece where you're lacking, and you're very comfortable with the next guy in line to not have a significant drop-off. So I don't know the inner workings of that, but I can tell you this: there are certain systems where it puts players in a great position to be successful. And you've seen it here historically with Kevin Cobb and some others who played under Andy Reid's system, and it really took to their strengths. And then when they moved out elsewhere, maybe didn't have quite the success. I was an example of that. Under Bill Belichick's system, I was comfortable. I was drafted into that system. When they got rid of him in Cleveland, I switched defensive schemes into a 3-4 where I didn't quite fit. I was able to stay and play another 3 years with the organization, but never at the level that I was under that original system. So, it's one of those things. If I'm him and Sanchez is going to be an active participant and make us better, I don't have any interest in getting rid of him. I want the best 53 players I can get.
So you talk about changing schemes to a 3-4. That's actually something that the Eagles did. They were running a 4-3 for a long time. Billy Davis came in as the defensive coordinator and instituted that 3-4 defense. Do you think now with a year playing in that system, this defense is going to be a little more prepared going into the season?
Oh, I think so, definitely. I've been part of 2 different switches where they were running the old 2-gap 4-3 systems that won the Super Bowls for Denver and Green Bay in the mid-90s, where you were 300 across the front, you were 2-gapping across the front. That has really transitioned into the 3-4, and I was part of 2 teams that made that transition. You just don't have the personnel the first year, and I think we saw it probably with the Eagles on both the defensive line and the linebackers last year. Certainly all the way across on defense. So yeah, they'll be better. You look at the Baltimore Ravens, we made the switch in '96, and it took 3-4 years to get the personnel in there. Sam Adams and Tony Siragusa, drafted Ray Lewis, bringing in Peter Boulware, Jamie Sharper, bringing in Ed Reed at safety, and then you're winning Super Bowls. But it takes time. So I think anybody that thinks you can just make the switch and it happens overnight is mistaken. But I think each year we took a real step in the right direction.
All right, Coach, so I'll leave you with one final question here about the Eagles. What do you see from the team this year? Do you think they have that, another season like last year, maybe win a playoff game this year, or do you think they take a step back?
I don't see why they would take a step back. I think another year in the same system. The players are more familiar with it. I think Coach Kelly's obviously set the tone for what's going to be acceptable inside the locker room as well as outside. Another year in the defensive scheme after making a switch after they ran the 4-3 for a dozen years. Getting more of their types of guys that fit those systems, which put you in different matchups. I don't foresee why they would take a step back. So, looking for great things, and it's not just because I'm born and raised here, not drinking the Kool-Aid. I believe that it's anytime you have those types of movements forward, you're going to be a better team.
All right, well, we're looking for great things from the Neshaminy Redskins as well. They take on Gonzaga College High School to open the season Friday, August 29th. That game is at 7 p.m. right here at Neshaminy High School. Coach, good luck this season.
Thank you, sir.
This has been the Mike Frederick Show, presented by Aria Health.